Roog's writing camping. Andrade. Guys, welcome to Camping Zeeburg in Amsterdam.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. So good that you wanted to come. First of all, man to my left, Mr. Low Steppa.
With a space in between.
With a space in between. So, and Dennis, welcome.
Thanks.
Today we're going to talk about a track that you guys did. Mm-hmm. It's not the first track you did.
No.
You're quite, you know, productive these days.
Yeah.
So, the track we're going to talk about, what's the name of it?
Well, the working title
is there a name yet?
Which track?
The Freaking Hurt one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There is.
We used to have another name, a working title, which we do not mention.
Yeah, we can't say that.
Oh
it's
yeah,
explicit.
okay.
Yeah.
The copyright law infringement stuff.
Well, yeah.
Okay. So, okay, this is maybe the third or fourth track you guys do?
Oh, easy. Maybe it's got to be more probably.
Yeah?
We both need to get a life. Don't we?
Yeah.
It's Dennis, Quin, t-shirt. We both fit in, yeah? You said extra.
The weird thing is though, it's wider than it is long.
So how did your, you know, the collab, the first one, how did it start? Anyone can recall that?
I guess it was 5 years ago. You sent
5 years ago?
You sent me a message on SoundCloud, wanted to do one on Simma Black. And it.
Is it 5 years ago?
Yeah.
He has no clue what.
That's a long time, isn't it? 5 years?
5 years is too long. I think maybe 3 years ago.
I have trouble remembering what happened last week.
No.
But, what was the first track we did together?
Okay, these guys, they worked together for quite a while. They did a couple of tracks already. They have a new one coming, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit. So they don't know how they met. So maybe we can think of a funny story. You were grocery shopping in Amsterdam, or you were in a coffee shop, or you were in Amsterdam, or did it go on the internet?
No, I think we met on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know that dating site, SoundCloud, for DJs.
Yeah, this very lovely profile.
Hey, for me it was like 5 years ago. You like exploded onto the scene. Maybe 4 years ago, not long ago. Can you maybe explain a little bit how that happened? I read in your bio that bootlegs had something to do with it.
I think I was just. I think a lot of artists, when they start, they're obsessed with like, oh, I want to get on this label, I want to get on that label, and it's just a very slow process. So I sort of like didn't bother with anything else. I just started giving music away and building up a fan base from the very ground up, organically. Like I think I won the everyday people over before I even thought about, you know, labels or.
But how did you do it? What kind of music were you doing?
With the Low Steppa stuff with the house, and it was good timing because it was when all that, they called it deep house, but when all that vibe was blowing up, so it was a very exciting time for music.
Yeah.
I think I took what certain people were doing and gave it a little bit more of an aggressive feel.
Yes, that UK gritty, dirty feel.
I was really into that early stuff, like I remember Darius Sarosian and Hector Couto were making some great stuff. Yeah. I mean, they still are, but I was really into that.
Those were your influence. I hear maybe more UK garage in it. Is that something I don't hear? Is that in my mind only, or?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the term
those basses, it's like it's really bassy stuff. So I mean, it couldn't come from another place than the UK, right?
I suppose. I think Birmingham, the city I'm from, has always had that kind of vibe as well.
Absolutely.
But I mean, the UK garage, to me, UK garage means like two steps. So
really, yeah.
I suppose earlier stuff, you know, like Todd Edwards and that kind of stuff. That's where the beats would have come from.
Yes, absolutely. I hear that.
So I mean, I still like my beats to be that vibe. Do you know what I mean? But I have moved away from anything so you know, like in your face and heavy.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm really about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later because you transitioned, and I think that's a good thing. But I mean, I think it's very interesting how you broke into the limelight because, like you said, you won over the people before you won over the labels. So I think that's very interesting. Can you maybe just specify a little bit more how that worked? Because it's very interesting for people to know how
I think again it was timing. SoundCloud was a very popular thing at the time.
Yeah.
Like it really had a time, didn't it, when it was all about SoundCloud.
Yeah.
I think I was in that era where you could really make your profile from SoundCloud, whereas now SoundCloud's it's not such a big deal.
No.
You've still got to be on it, but
sure.
It's but I think
but is it the type of music that you did, or did you like took tracks that were already popular and then you put your own spin on it? How did it work?
Yeah, well, there was a Roog 94 track, and in a similar time I did a remix of Deep Inside. I think I basically just churned them out because it was.
You were a madman back in the day.
Yeah, things I do a lot less music now, but I focus on it a bit more. And, you know, back then.
But would you recommend it for upcoming guys to do like bootlegs of other people's stuff to get like recognition?
I don't think it's the best way to do it. If you can come
it
with
worked for you though.
Yeah, if you can come with a massive original track.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to do that now. There's music's so throwaway, isn't it?
I know.
Things have got to show. I remember when I started DJing, there'd be records people would play for a year.
I know.
But now it's so like.
I know.
Like you might get a promo, it'll be a nice tech house record.
Yeah.
But then once you played it once, it's like, well.
I know. There's like 500 more waiting.
I think it's because records at the moment haven't really got hooks, have they?
I know. Well, we're always talking about this. I'm always like, everyone I'm working with, I'm like, I need a hook. I need like that classic feel, like a song feel. It doesn't have a song structure, but something that people can relate to when they hear it. They're like, oh, that tune with that.
Always look for the hook.
The hook. We're always obsessed with the hook.
I think the trouble with a lot of the kids as well, they're not really thinking, oh, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. They're thinking, I've got to make a record like that because that's done well on Beatport.
Of course.
That's why when we come with a record like After's Groove, it doesn't. We're out there doing our own thing.
Yeah.
But people obviously like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they're streaming it and they're buying it.
Yeah.
And
I mean, you both have the profile now and the power to change it up a little.
Yeah. People make the mistake. They're chasing if you're trying to copy music, you're already too late.
Thank you.
It's already happened.
Thank you.
There's no one trying to lead these days. They're just copying.
Well, it's hard because we all know when you're trying to make music to come up with something really original, and we always have the boundaries that has to work on the floor. So I know when you're starting out, I think the hardest thing to do is find your own sound, right?
Yeah.
So that's why people start out copying other people. I mean, that's nothing wrong about it, but then you have to evolve in your own sort of style, right?
I mean, thinking about it, when say I'd get listen to 50 promos, you wouldn't really be able to tell if you closed your eyes whose track it was, whereas I think back in the day you probably couldn't you?
Yeah.
Like you'd know,
Full Intention, the beats.
Yeah, Full Intention, Jazz and Groove.
Yeah, Kenny Dope.
I reckon I'd spot those.
Hello.
Like Joey Nico,
Hello.
Master Work. I reckon I could tell. Like
Joey Nico, hello.
Or a Junior Jack or Kid Creme bass line or something.
Yeah.
But now I think it's all very like.
I think it's all about defining your authentic sound and keep on track with that. So keep firm with your own groove and your themes, and make your signature sound nowadays to differ from the rest, right?
Yeah. Hey, Dennis, we obviously work every day, so it's a bit strange for me to ask you how you got into the. But maybe it's cool for the people just to know how did it go, man? How did you? Who discovered you, man?
Who discovered me? Well, that was a while ago. I think I was going to like a dance fair when I first met you in person. Of course, I knew you like the Dutch house DJ with Hard Soul, and so I sent you a demo, or I gave you a demo, and you thought I was giving you a demo because I was wearing this big leather or bomberjack leather jacket. So you think, oh, okay, well, this guy is going to give me like a hardstyle demo or something like that.
Sorry.
So I ended up giving you like a trumpet Latin house kind of tune.
It was like one of those surreal moments. I remember this vividly because I was sitting there doing an A&R panel for my own label Hard Soul and for Defected as well. And then this guy, humongous guy, comes up to me, and he was even bigger back then because he was still lifting weights and stuff.
Thank you.
He was huge. He had this tribal tattoo here, and I'm like, the hardcore section is over there.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. And then he came in like Latin house. How funny is that, man? That's hilarious.
So that was, I think, when EDM was big at the day.
Very big. Yeah.
And well, we started to make house at first, but we didn't know where to go. So we had to really define our sound, our like bassy, groovy thing. I think that was the period of Deep Inside of your.
Well,
your mix.
I remember saying to you, okay, EDM is at this high point now.
Yeah.
You have to believe me, house is coming back.
Yeah.
If we start putting out house tracks now, we will be the first doing that,
Yeah.
at least in Holland. And I think that came true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when everyone else was doing other stuff, or techno, or EDM, or whatever they were doing, and we were doing like old school house, in the beginning people were like, these guys, what the hell are they?
doing? Yeah.
What the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
And then when time evolved, and luckily in the UK there were some crazy nutters doing the same thing, and then the house vibe came back.
I guess you picked one of my tracks up, and then it all like came together.
Yeah.
Working hard every day, making sounds, and of course, like 6 out of 10 tracks will not be released or whatever, will stay on your hard drive, and probably you're going to use elements with it. But those one track which you were talking about will be played, like Move Out of My Way, which I did this summer. Well, it's being played for months, and even still, every club or every venue you go in, you hear it. Making like timeless music is a difficult thing, but once you've got it, it's just like, wow, it can last, So
I think that's the main goal in making music is making music that lasts.
My
right?
theory is make it so it already sounds old.
add some final rumble on it.
That's what you do all the time. I hear that. That's funny. I wanted to know your first setup, your first studio. When was this, and what kind of gear were you using?
So when I first started playing around, I had an Apple Mac LC475 that
When
had
was
a disc
this?
drive in the front.
Around what year?
2001.
Yeah.
And I had a Akai S6000 big sampler where the front came off.
Yeah.
And I had like a very early copy of Cubase.
Okay,
And,
yeah.
I remember you'd like load in these samples on like floppy disks.
I know.
And that was when I first started messing around. So yeah, 2000.
And your first record came out when?
I think I released something on vinyl in 2006. Some disco samples.
Well, already on the guys Low Steppa or?
No, I've had many names.
Many names. Which
I mean,
we don't go in now.
I suppose going back to your question about Low Steppa, I already had a fan base, so it wasn't like it's not a very good example of start to give to kids who are coming through.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a clean start. I think if once you've got fans, some of them will follow you, whatever you make, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, but now, see, I put some vinyl out. Sounded terrible, but you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think another point as well. A lot of people are like, they won't release anything because they never think they're always trying to make it better, but it can always be better, can't it? I think some of the biggest records in the world can be better. Every music can always be better.
Oh yes,
You've got to have a point where it's like that picture that goes around the internet where they're skeletons on the mixing desk. So I mean, there's never perfection, I don't think.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, the most successful stuff I did was like I was really not happy with it, and then other people said yes, I want to put it out, it's great, and then you're like, okay, I have to let it go, reluctantly, and then you know it just goes. So you never know. It's something you cannot define, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
So,
Shall we go inside and look at your track?
yeah.
Gewoon echt nog eentje met een action gekocht.
Oh, what we got here? You guys, you both working in Logic?
No, I
Working
work
on
in Cubase.
Really? Are you
Yeah.
still working in Cubase?
Yeah.
Because you're just so used to it, or
Yeah.
is there a reason? Is there a
I think it's just switching just seems like it'd kill the creativity for a while, because
Yeah.
you'd be like, I don't know, like I say to you quite a lot, don't I want to use Logic, but
Yeah.
it's just like, I don't know, man. I just
I
love
think you do it in a week.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
but I don't know if I could handle a week without making beats, do you know what I mean?
I think DAWs nowadays are quite more similar than they used to be.
Yeah.
Like a workflow thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
In the end, it doesn't matter if you in which DAW you work.
No, I don't think so. But I mean, when you collaborate, it's really
Yeah, it's
nice
easier
to have the
to share
Yeah.
projects instead
Yes.
of bouncing every audio file.
It's very rare. It's quite exciting when I meet someone who uses Cubase. It's like, oh, right.
So how did, like we talked about this before. So when you start a track, how does it work? You send beats. How does is there a specific workflow? There's one beat maker. There's one bassline maker.
Usually I start the track, don't I? To be honest.
Yeah.
And then you get bored of it, and then you say, "Let's send it to Dennis."
To be honest, right, I think I enjoy getting a vibe of a record.
I know, man.
But then, I don't know, it's quite nice to
No,
then
but
be
you get,
like...
I mean, when you're working alone, you get lost in your own
Yeah.
head, you know?
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, sometimes I think to finish a record can be a bit of a chore.
Mhm.
The fun part for me is getting that idea and you bopping
but
around.
I mean, when we work together, we have the same thing. You're like, you're working on it, I'm like, and you're working on it for a day, and then like, you start out like, oh, this is really good, and then you're like, is it really good?
Yeah.
And then I send it to Dennis, he's like, oh, no, this is shite, and then...
No, I didn't barely say that.
Every day, I'm crying
I
in my
think
bed.
it's a buzz as well. If I'm working on a track and then you're like, oh, that's wicked.
Yeah.
Then it's like we can be excited together.
Oh,
So I'm
it's
by
funny that you
myself.
say that, because I was talking to Farek Don yesterday, and he said I need to do collabs because I get so lonely,
Yeah.
and I totally get it. I also need to vibe with someone.
You should have someone playing a violin there in the background.
Yeah.
I'll cue the music.
It is. I spend like my days by myself.
That is
I mean,
what
like
it
just
is.
making beats.
But it makes you insane. You don't have colleagues. You don't have enough. So you have
Yeah.
no one to bounce your ideas on. So it's fun to have someone to do that with, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. Or he starts the beat. He starts the beat.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter.
It works both ways, you
Yeah.
know. Sometimes one has a great idea of a step that isn't quite there and needs to be, there need to be another element in it to make it a track, right?
Yeah.
Got a good groove going on, and think, okay, if I add a certain vocal or
Yeah.
if I,
Yeah. So I think when you're making your drum beat, you need to be in your studio grooving to it, even when it's not turned up loud, and that's when you know that you've got something.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to turn something up and be like, yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah,
do
it's
you know what I
pumping,
mean?
it's
But
pumping.
you've got to be,
Fist up.
you've got to be like enjoying it.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you need to change your drum beat. Do you know what I mean? You need to do it again.
Absolutely, totally agreeing.
I mean, my music is a lot about grooves, isn't it? Some, you know,
all
like,
about the groove. When it's not grooving,
yeah,
just
that's
throw
the
it away.
important thing. Sometimes I try and have less groove, and I always end up, as the track's progressing, the swing's getting more and more,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
just ends up grooving. like
and this is something
Yeah.
like a certain groove.
I think we all have the same sort of mentality. If it doesn't have that swing, when you don't have the bump in head, don't do it. I will drink it the proper way.
So,
You have to drink it with the pinky up, no? Like
yeah,
this?
like this. That's nice tea. What tea is this? Is this green tea?
So
And
the
that's-
beat. Let me listen to the beat, guys. What kind of beat do we have? Only the beat. Does I hear a bass line somewhere there? So
quite basic.
Pretty simple, right? Is that the whole beat, or is there more?
No,
swing
there's some
going on?
more elements going on after this part. Well, it is actually the whole beat.
Really, it's just a kick, snare.
Yeah, but it has like Will said, it has to be very basic at the beginning. Then you add elements to it, and probably you're gonna delete elements afterwards to make it more on point.
All right.
See, we agree on this. We both talk about we want less in a record.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I find sometimes I throw too many elements into
yeah.
a track.
Yes.
Too many snare rolls, etc. And
I
grooves.
think that's my main role with Dennis. Like when we first started, we had like 80 tracks with sounds, and I'm like, dude, you know, I'm gonna throw it all away and then bring it back to the essence of the groove, right? Like really the bare bones, and it's easier to mix that way, right?
Yeah.
I think both of you are really baseline orientated guys. Can you say something about the process of getting a baseline?
For me, it's trial and error. You've just got to mess around, and the bass line's got to have groove as well, obviously, hasn't it?
Sorry to interrupt. Are you like sample based, or you have like a specific plugin that you go to?
I tend to use Massive a lot. I don't like using samples because I find you can't control the frequencies as much, and I like to know that my sub is like a fat warm sub. Whereas say using a sample, it's a bit less.
It's processed.
I can't trust it as much as just. So sometimes what I'll do, if I like a sample, I'll just cut the bottom out and line it my own sub under it, and then I've got the best of both worlds.
Nice. Yeah. You obviously you like your samples.
Well, I like my samples because I know how to process them, and like a firm bass line can end up being only a sub-step or something like that. Just like making it sounding old or processed can be an advantage.
Yeah, cool.
In the end.
Yeah.
But I'm just laughing about the name you gave us to a certain stem. Birds having in a tree. But
So something I hate is when I hear a record and every kick isn't hitting the same.
yeah.
And that for me, that's all about side chaining, and because when you've got things over a kick, it's going to change that hit in the bar. So I tend to do a lot of side chaining on a sub to make sure
So
that
you have
all
the
the
kick,
kicks are constant.
Yeah, the kick constant, the sub or the bass is
It's
side
all-
changed by the kick. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I side chain like everything. It's all got
Not
all
the
got
kick.
a pump.
You also
Not the kick.
no, well that's well.
Not the not
you
drums.
have compression on your kick. Is
Yeah.
that a thing, or just the kick is like dry?
My kicks are generally dry, to be honest.
Yeah. Because you don't have that like full frontal knock.
Yeah. I think when you're working on your sub bass, it's good if you strip it back so you're just listening to the kick and the sub, because they've got to be in a relationship with each other.
Yeah.
That's
So is there a tip that you how to do that for the guys?
No, I think it's just your level. Like I know now when I'm working the volume I want my sub at. Even without listening, I can, because I've been. Do you know what I mean? I work at the same volumes usually.
Yeah.
So my kick will be a certain volume, maybe like -11, -10. I don't know if it's different on Logic or whatever.
Probably.
But I'm talking Cubase. And then I know how loud my sub can be.
Yeah.
As well, you get, through experience, you get to know how, when it's mastered, it'll affect it. So, do you know what I mean? Sometimes I've noticed when you have things mastered, it really brings certain sounds out. So now I kind of know I don't want that too loud in the mix because it's going to sound really loud when it's mastered. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
again with vinyl crackle, you might think, I want that quite prominent in this, then it'll be mastered.
Yeah.
And you won't be able to, you'll just hear vinyl, it'll just be
Yeah.
vinyl.
Yeah.
So it's all experience really, and I think you need to, if you want to be a producer, you've got to be in the studio doing it. Like if I have breaks, like say I have a couple of weeks off, which I rarely do, it's a bit like starting again after. Like I like to be constant, like in the studio.
Totally. You have to. It's a grind, you know. You have to be constant. All right, Will. Listen, English tea, and we crazy Dutch people, we eat raw fish.
Sweet. I'll see you later, lads.
Get your show the proper way.
Here we go.
Come on, man. So do you, because we have like a massive chain on the master, do you work with a chain or a mastering chain?
So I'd say 90% of the time I work with a master chain, and then I've got a different setup where I've got the actual tracks a lot louder, so they don't have to be brought up. So I can't. But most of the time I work lower and have my master chain on. But I have done a few records lately where the individual tracks are much louder, so they don't need to be made so loud.
Is that the new technique or just experimenting?
I think I get a clean. It's like if I want a cleaner sound, but if you want it more vintage, I think it's better to work quieter and then bring it all up with. But I think a lot of the sound I get on in my own tracks is due to there's like a pretty awful multi-band compressor in Cubase, and I think that gives that Low Steppa.
Really,
Yeah.
the grittiness.
Yeah.
What's the secret ingredient to get the
It's
that
about
Low
picking
Steppa
the right
sound?
sounds in the first place.
Yeah.
I'm not a true believer in doing loads to a sound. I think you need a lot of it is
True.
picking that sound in the first place.
Absolutely.
Like if
Hallelujah.
you want vintage sounding or classic house beats,
Yeah.
you're not going to go and pick some really clean open hi-hat. Do you know what I mean? You
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
and there's loads of great packs out there if you like sample packs. There's loads of
Yeah.
like, you know, vintage or vinyl. But as well, I mean, you can go and sample a hi-hat off an old record if
True.
you want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with sample individual hits.
And for you, Dennis, I know your process, but can you maybe tell when you produce, because you are the fastest motherfucker on the planet producing, how do you do that? Because there's a lot of guys out there struggling, you know, they work on a track for weeks and they can't finish, and you're constant. You're like, you can finish a track in 1-2 hours.
Thing is that
What is the magic?
I've got no specific workflow to doing that, but it's more like creativity of making, thinking about a sample I hear in an old Carrie Chandler record, or thinking, okay, I can reverse it, or just like pitch it or shift it, and playing it with a MIDI keyboard to make it your own, like Will said, using a single hit or something. Well, nobody will call you and say you stole my record if you're creating new elements with it. So that's my main thing about creativity.
But the records you've probably they've taken from
Absolutely.
anything anyway.
Of course,
do you know what I mean?
of course,
Sure,
everything
sure.
is sampled
Yeah. In a way.
in a way. But if you have this, I've told this before. If you're building a house, you don't start with the roof, right? You're starting with the basement.
With the foundation, yeah.
With the
of
foundation, and it needs to be firm, and it needs to hold like the whole record. So
Yeah.
you kick your basic elements. If there's no kick, people won't feel it. To the floor. That's house music we're making.
Yeah.
Probably you can vary a little bit within it, but it's more about the basics need to be on point, and then you can add like freaky shit on
whatever
it,
you want,
and
crazy stuff.
And sometimes I'll take it back, so I have like 40 ideas in one project. That's why we used to have like 140,000 tracks in one project. But then you're going back to the core, and then you end up with wow, this bass line is really on point. So if I add like a step, which you are quite good at, so like the Low Steppa sound.
Yeah, the Low Steppa step.
Then it gives that color to the record, you know. It's like effective on the dance floor, but it's boring. Like all the tech house nowadays is just like 8 minutes 40 records going nowhere. So we're making house music.
It's almost like they're great. It's almost like the whole track is a great intro with a lot of it. Do you know
I
what
have the same thing. That's why we make all those bootlegs, because we're like, oh, there's a great groove. Where's the musical idea? Oh, let's put it on ourselves.
Well, it don't have to be, for me, it doesn't always have to be like a musical element, but there needs to be something like interesting that you can see people feel the energy of.
There's got to be something
In it, like a gimmick.
I will call it a musical element. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like a violin or a piano, but something that is capturing your ear.
Yeah.
only a beat and a bass line, or it has to be a really
Could be a
brilliant
vocal, though.
yeah, really brilliant bass line. But
I like the idea.
A vocal is also a musical.
Yeah,
element.
I like the idea of processing or just like chopping vocals, whereas they're like melodies or creating like patterns with it. So like MK did it back in the day.
Yeah.
With the
Perfect.
MPC, just like all the old Nightcrawler tracks, and it's just amazing. For me, it's still current. If you combine with nowadays mastering techniques, which they didn't have back in the day. So, but now you can make it really sounding on all frequencies to the max with this old idea, right? We're just like reinventing house music all the time.
Listen, mate, I'm getting a little bit tired, man. I've got to play at 5 o'clock. Is it alright if I have a quick nap?
Dude, I have this thing for the whole EP, so if you guys want to take a nap, please do it. Okay. No problem.
See you in a bit, guys.